Welcome to the Silent Thinking Podcast, a space to slow down, breathe, and reconnect. Today, I'm reading from When the Psychology Professor Met the Minister by Dave Roberts and Patty Furino. Just listen and let the stillness support you. Chapter 10. The time has come to bring forth change. Since I first met Patty in 2010, many traumatic events have caused mass destruction of property, loss of life, and pain across the globe. What is most distressing is, in many instances, it has been orchestrated by our fellow humans. When these events occurred, I would call Patty and ask, "When is society going to change?" She would always respond with the same answer: "We need to assist, guide, and support the next generations on this planet, so they can create a better society." During another conversation, Pat described her vision for the world, a vision where we all create a connection to the divine source through different paths. She became more empathic as her voice grew stronger, explaining that a better future lies with a society where we meet each other, guided by our ability to listen and bear witness to each other's stories. Patty took this discussion one step further, stating tolerance and understanding should also be extended to those individuals who see their place in the world differently, like her. Our vision for this book arose in part from the observations of students in my classes who were ready to embrace and expand their way of thinking. I've had several students admit to having experiences with non-ordinary phenomena and/or the ability to communicate with spirit. More often than not, they were reluctant to acknowledge the truth due to fear of being misunderstood, much like Pat felt most of her life. I recognized that many of my students possessed different levels of awareness as they shared similar stories to Pat's experiences. Prior to my weekend on Long Island, I would have not taken these observations seriously. But my ongoing relationship with Pat and my subsequent willingness to integrate these concepts of psychology and spirituality allowed me to recognize and identify different levels of clarity and awareness these young adults possess. Patty introduced me to the concept of indigo children. They are a new generation of children who were first identified in the 1970s by Nancy and Tapp. In general, indigo children are considered to be free thinkers with heightened awareness into the human condition and a profound aptitude to see the truth clearly. They are believed to possess special, unusual, sometimes supernatural traits or abilities. Time and time again, I had students privately share how difficult it is to live an ordinary life while managing the multiple levels of thought that run at light speed through their minds. The speed of thought can be difficult to manage. It is something I've seen Patty encounter on numerous occasions. After this speed of thought events, she would sometimes be overcome with extreme fatigue. I got a chance to witness this during a visit to my home when she connected with a young woman athlete who died by suicide. Pat channeled the frustration of this young woman's inability to embrace her authentic self. As a result, this young woman felt she couldn't lead the life she desired to experience. I never met her in this lifetime, but felt the intense energy of the exchange. I was exhausted and felt intermittent chills down my spine for days after this encounter. This was an experience similar to the one I had with Jeannine. Regardless of how grounded we are, access to another level of consciousness is possible whenever we choose, or when the universe deems it necessary for our continued growth and evolution. Continued growth and evolution empowers us to take responsibility for our own book of life. In the process, we We consciously affect our unique reality and become empowered to be the authors of our stories. We create the main character, determine who we are and where our passion lies. Trusting our intuition, we soon discover that everything we need lies within. Going into the depth of the quiet mind, one discovers that we are more than the human body. This is the essence of spirituality. When I began to embrace spirituality, I saw the value of treating others with compassion, respect, and love, even during times when fear, despair, and doubt dominated my thoughts. Once I made the commitment to develop a compassionate presence with others, it changed the way I viewed people and how they viewed me. Most importantly, was the way I viewed myself changed. I realized I was more than traumatic events in my past that had once defined me. The human experience and the traumatic events that occur can at times prevent us from being compassionate with those we meet. Individuals may manifest characteristics that awaken our deepest vulnerabilities and flaws, or who simply remind us of people with whom we have unresolved conflict. There were occasions when it was not always possible to treat individuals with benevolence and compassion. We encouraged each other to examine those experiences, recognizing how they can awaken those parts of ourselves that were unknown to us. These situations presented the opportunity to work through the issues without re-entering the original conflict. At this point in our lives, we chuckle whenever the universe might be nudging us to learn something new from their presence. It is always our choice to embrace learning and growth. Being spiritual and walking with awareness is not always synonymous with embracing the light. Sometimes it is confronting and acknowledging our own limitations and darkness. When we begin to embrace and integrate spiritual practices with psychology, we realize our potential for awareness and understanding has no limits. We connect to something that is greater than ourselves. Pat believes we are all capable of making this connection if we are receptive and then engaged. This connection is sacred and should always be treated with respect. Over the years, Pat has resisted using her sacred connections for someone's entertainment. She is devoted to genuinely using her heightened level of awareness to engage individuals in deep discussions about how spiritual practices can enhance the understanding of their life journeys. Their newfound awareness attracts other like-minded people whose mission to create a peaceful planet for all. The time has come to bring forth change in how we treat each other. Pat channels the voices of spirits whose pain has gone unexpressed. I continually witnesses her ability to see the past, present, and future simultaneously. The intensity of those experiences were evident through her changes in affect, facial expressions, and the light speed of words coming through her. Due to our encounters with these spirits, many of whom were victims of discrimination, slavery, injustice, and mistreatment, we strongly feel it necessary to talk about healing these wounds. It is crucial we develop the ability to look beyond the book cover of a human being and see the essence of who he, she is, and how they view the world. As a country, we need to realize the magnitude of our inequities towards fellow humans on this planet. It needs to be addressed and healed. We have all been brought to this planet in different forms and colors for an experience, each of us having our own unique history. When we acknowledge our history and bear witness to the pains and perseverance of each individual, we embark on the road to understanding and healing. Understanding and healing involves realigning and reconfiguring how we fit in this new reality a total re-evaluation of how we operate. We must learn to stand with integrity and create a country that represents a global community which will inhabit our planet we call Earth. Our ambition is to offer perspectives that encompasses hope for a more peaceful, benevolent, and loving world that unconditionally embraces diversity and differences. The development of technology has been a catalyst for global communication, but by itself will not help us achieve widespread diversity and oneness. We need to voluntarily be physically present for each other and for the stories that made us who we are. Storytelling is empowering and can assist in building relationships between people who are perceived to be different from us. Many people have experienced life-altering challenges or simply grew up in a place whose culture had no similarities to our own. When a person chooses to share their story with you, consider it the ultimate gift. You were chosen because of their belief you could be trusted with intimate details of their life experience, and you would be a non-judgmental, compassionate presence. Stories need to be shared within communities that wish to learn, acknowledge, and in the process celebrate our differences. It is beneficial for us to find a voice of calm or reason, since it's not always easy to work through all challenges on our own. During challenging periods in our lives, we might have a difficulty asking for help. At times of crisis, we can't always ask and answer our own questions. On August 25th, 2019, I published a story on Medium about how we can support each other during times of challenge. It was inspired to write this article after listening to the song Entre Nous, written by Neil Peart. I was struck by both its simple eloquence and profound significance as it relates to how people from different walks of life come together to build hopeful bridges of support and understanding after experiencing catastrophic loss. The psychologist and the minister are hopeful these bridges can be built between people of different cultures, backgrounds, and philosophies. Pat and I believe there are certain steps that can be taken to embrace the diversity and difference that we live amongst in our country and the world. Commit to understanding the differences between cultures. Acknowledge our histories and how they contributed to those differences. Discuss the impact of our histories to create a dialogue of mutual understanding. Discover ways to move forward while respecting and celebrating our differences. Observe the lives of others through sacred law and divine sight, from the eyes of an eagle. The eagle has been the totem of this country since its inception. In the book of Animals Speak by Ted Andrews, he describes when working with eagle medicine, you learn how to move between worlds, touch all life with healing, and become the mediator and the bearer of new creative force within the world. We believe anyone can access a multidimensional experience if they're open to it and then to embrace it. At times, I found it overwhelming, but with the proper understanding and support I received from Pat and other like-minded teachers, mentors on both sides of the plane, it can be nurtured. For me, learning to expand my perspective after my daughter Jeannine's physical death helped me look differently at subsequent events in my life. To illustrate this point, I would like to elaborate on my health care I mentioned earlier in our book. Several years ago, I underwent prostate biopsy due to some abnormal prostate serum antigen, PSA laboratory values. My doctor scheduled the biopsy for approximately 6 weeks after my office visit. Even though he was not overly concerned, I still worried about being diagnosed with prostate cancer. I witnessed the physical deterioration of several family members and friends due to cancer, including my daughter. The last thing I wanted or needed was for my friends and family to bear witness to yet another cancer journey. Prior to the biopsy, I took a walk in my neighborhood. I believed fresh air would do me good, and nature would provide so much needed peace of mind. About midway through my walk, I had a conversation with God. It went something like this: God, I will accept whatever you have in store for me, but I need to tell you, I'm having so much enjoyment sharing the teachings about life and death that have been revealed to me. I do not want to see this end just yet. I feel I have more to learn and more to give. I know Jeannine is safe in your hands, and I will see her again someday. But I also know thy will be done. I prayed for something I could never have envisioned in early grief, to delay the start of eternity with my daughter. My desire to postpone eternity wasn't because I didn't miss her earthly presence. It meant I wanted to continue to live. I wanted to continue to educate students and help others who experienced life-altering loss for a while longer. The joy I experienced was due to the excitement generated by expanding my perspective through conversations with Pat and then sharing what I learned with others. When we begin to embrace spirituality, one thing is for certain: our understanding of psychology and behavior is enhanced because our spiritual awareness is enhanced. We will not look at life or death the same way again. Fear is replaced with understanding. Instead of entertaining doubt, we embrace faith, however we choose to define it. We are empowered to live the existence of our own choosing. I mentioned earlier in our book that my students are among my greatest teachers. The following is an original quote from one of my Utica College students, Bridget Jandro, which can be found in a paper she did for my death, dying, and bereavement class last year. The life you live is the life that you die with. If we choose to live our lives in a single-mindedness, closed off to perspectives that are different from our own, we will, in all likelihood, deprive ourselves from experiencing life's great journey. If we can live our lives open to all the universe has to offer, we will die with a life that was worth living. A life where we recognize our infinite potential rather than society-imposed limitations. I discovered all of these truths during my 10-year relationship with Pat. We've just begun to scratch the surface. I look forward to more adventures bringing us more clarity, wisdom, and mind expansion. Thank you for sharing this quiet moment with me. If this brought you peace, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, and share it with someone who might need a little stillness too. Until next time, keep listening inward.